this video is for worksheet 1-5 for Discovering Algebra 1, Part 1. And in this video, we're going to be going over evaluating equations with some distributing in there, cleaning those equations up to find an answer, find our output to our input. So as you can see, I have the answers up there. If you're in my class, you know the drill. Go ahead and grade your work, and we'll get started. All right, I'm going to assume that you have paused and graded your work. Now we're going to get started. Let me change my pen color real quick. All right, so we have to evaluate for what it tells us to. And right here, you'll see that it tells us what X, Y, Z, and N stand for in this equation. I'm actually going to write that down so that I can use those throughout as we scroll down. But whenever you evaluate an equation and you substitute one of these values in, the best thing to do is to actually put that in parentheses till you know if you need the parentheses or not. The X equals 7 in this case, so I'm going to put a 7 in for that X. And now I'm just going to solve. So order of operations says I do that parenthesis first. Within that parenthesis, multiplication division comes first. So I'm going to do the multiplication division. There's only multiplication. 3 times 7, which is 21. All right. And then I'm going to do that addition because that's what's left, which is 27. The last thing I have to do is the overall multiplication in this problem. So it's going to be 27 times 5. And this is a negative, so I know my answer is going to be negative. But let's go ahead and do this math real quick off to the side. And I get 135. So the answer is negative 135. In this one, I'm also going to need those parentheses because it means multiplication. Whenever a variable is right beside a number, that means they're in multiplication of each other. And 9 times 7 is 63. Got to do that multiplication first, then I can do my addition, and my answer comes to 65. All right, in this one, I should put the 7 in parentheses, because if it had been a negative 7, that would have turned to positive because that negative on the outside. It's very important that we're always putting that in parentheses and evaluating. For this particular one, I see I don't need those parentheses. I can drop them. And then I can do it. If I owe $7, but I have $6, I happen to owe $1. All right, let's go ahead and do this one. And I'm just going to write down the side of this what everything equals really quickly. So I can do these 3. All right, so for this one, I'm going to fill in what y equals, which is -1. I don't need the parentheses. I kind of already evaluated that as I was doing it. You could have left it in parentheses and then said, oh, I don't need them. Let me get rid of them. But anyway, around it, it's -1 plus 10. I owe $1, but I have $10. Well, now I only have 9. Got to keep that 9 in parentheses because it also means it's in multiplication with the -2. A negative and positive make a negative answer, and 2 times 9 make 18. All right, in this one I do need the parentheses because the 3 and the y are being multiplied. All right, so first in the parentheses I got to do the multiplication. That comes out as a -3. Then I can do that addition. I owe $3, but I have 4. I only have 1. That's positive 1. I'm going to keep in multiplication because it's still in parentheses because it's still in multiplication with something. It's in multiplication with that -1 on the outside. 1 times 1 is 1. Negative and positive make a -1. All right, in this one, the 3 stands for 7. And I'm going to keep it in parentheses because I need it. I need to represent that is multiplication. Now 3 times 7 is 21, and a negative and a positive make a negative. So I owe $21, but I have 12. I'm still going to owe, I'm actually going to owe $9. That's what will be left. All right, this one is super easy, even though it doesn't look super easy. And let me show you why it's super easy. I'm going to put the 0 in parentheses. I forgot to do the inside. Okay, so anything multiplied to 0 is just plain 0. Okay, and this 0 here is being multiplied to the -2 and everything in this parenthesis. Now I can work out the problem. I could say -1 plus 7 is a 6. -2 times 0, 0. -6 times 0 is also 0. Or I can just say anything being multiplied is 0. Since all of this is in multiplication with the 0, the answer has to be 0. All right, we have the same thing going on in this one. I can go straight to the answer of 0, or I can just work it out. So 7 plus a -3 is 4. -1/2 times 0 is 0. 0 times 4 is also 0. All right, let's go ahead and write these down lower for our last few questions. Okay, so I'm going to fill in our variable of 0. Doesn't really change much, does it? This is the identity rule of addition. This was the rule of zeros of multiplication, but this one's the identity rule of addition, which says anything added to 0 is just the other number. Got to keep that number in parentheses, though, because it also means multiplication. The relationship between the -2 and the parentheses means multiplication. So this is going to be a -20. All right, I already filled in this one a little bit because it was a little bit complicated. So let's go ahead and look at this mess. All right, I'm going to rewrite it because that turned out sloppier. I'm going to, 2 negatives make a positive, so I'm going to make that a +1. I'm going to clean up what's inside those parentheses. -1 plus 7 is 6. 1 plus 3 is 4. Then I'm going to do my multiplication because that's the next thing in my order of operations. I'm not going to do the subtraction yet. Now I can do the subtraction, and it's a -36. All right, let's fill in what goes in this one. Was it -1? Yes, it is -1. So -1 plus 7. All right, I got to do what's in parentheses first. That's going to be a -7. And in this one, -1 plus 7. I owe 1, but I have 7. I have 6. Next, I got to do that multiplication. I don't have any exponents yet. We're not there yet. Negative and a negative make a positive. 5 times 7 makes a 35. Negative and a positive make a negative, and that's going to be an 18. All right, so I'm basically subtracting 18 from 35 in this case, which is going to make 17, positive 17. Last one of the day. That's being multiplied. This x is being multiplied. Got to put those in parentheses because they also mean multiplication. Oh, I'm going to put this one in parentheses because there's a double negative thing, and I just want to keep it separate so it doesn't morph into one thing, one idea. Okay. All right, let's clean up our parentheses first. All right, within my parentheses, I've got to do my multiplication first. So that's going to be 21 minus a 28. All right, I'm going to go ahead and clean this up while I'm at it. I'm going to make that a +3. And in this one, same thing. Multiplication has to be done first, which is going to give me this rigmarole. I could clean up those signs, but I'm not going to do that right yet. All right, if I have $21, but I owe someone 28, I'm still going to have to give them an IOU for -7. And in this parentheses, I'm going to finish it up. I'm going to get a -1. Now I got to do my multiplication. Negative and a negative make a +70. and a positive and a negative make a -3. So I gotta take 3 away. Somehow I ended up with a completely different answer. Um, I'm going to actually break the tie here in a minute. So that comes out as 63. Chances are I just couldn't read my own handwriting. But let's turn to the calculator to break the tie, because sometimes, sometimes we can make little mistakes. And it's good to see that sometimes I can make little mistakes, because then you're not as hard on yourself. All right, I'm almost done typing all of this in. Plus 5 times a -1. All right, and after doing it a couple of times and checking it on the calculator, I come to the conclusion that yes, I could not read my sloppy handwriting, and this was supposed to be a 6. So 63 is the answer to that one. All right, so keep doing these until you get it, and I'll see you guys in class. Let me know if you have any questions or need any help. All right, keep learning, keep discovering, you guys.